Money. It's a curious concept, isn't it? We spend our lives chasing after it, pursuing it with unwavering determination. But why? What makes this collection of paper and metal, this made-up representation of value, so profoundly important to us? To understand the relentless pursuit of money, we must first grasp the fundamental human needs it fulfills. In our modern world, it's the key that unlocks our desires and necessities. From the basics like food, shelter and clothing, to education, healthcare and transportation, money is the bridge between our aspirations and reality. It grants us the freedom to explore, learn, and grow. And yet in pursuit of it, most feel like they are wasting their lives away. By the time one has acquired enough of it, and that is a big if, most of us will be old, and we look back at our lives and ask ourselves, was it worth it? Now let's imagine this for a moment. It is 7 o'clock in the morning. The alarm is going off. Work is calling, except it isn't. Not if you don't want it. Instead, opportunity and adventure are calling. Instead of a grueling commute in traffic and countless hours of meaningless work, this day can be anything you want it to be. Maybe you want to sleep in. Maybe you want to work on a painting, or play with your children or pets all day. Whatever matters to you, whatever truly fulfills you, today is the day that you can do it all. And not only today, but every day from here on forth. Welcome to the world of universal basic income and beyond. Imagine a world where everyone, regardless of their job or financial situation, received a monthly payment from the government. This forms the basic foundation of universal basic income, or UBI, a potential game changer in our modern society. In this video, we'll embark on a journey to understand what UBI is, how it could transform lives, and the challenges it might pose. Universal basic income at its core represents a promise. It's a commitment that every member of society, from the struggling artist to the corporate executive, would receive a regular and unconditional cash payment from the government. This payment is designed to cover essential needs like food, housing, and clothing, freeing individuals from the constant worry of financial insecurity. To understand why UBI is gaining traction, we have to look at our world today. It's a world struggling with income inequality, job insecurity, and the growing divide between the haves and have-nots. Income inequality isn't just a number. It's real people facing tough choices every day. It's a single mother working 2 jobs to make ends meet, unable to spend quality time with her children. It's a young student burdened with crippling debt, delaying dreams and aspirations. It's a middle-aged worker watching their job being automated away, facing an uncertain future. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The concept of UBI isn't new. It traces its roots back to the 18th century, when political philosopher Thomas Paine argued for a national dividend, a visionary idea that lay dormant for centuries until recent years. In the last few years, some pioneering countries have started experimenting with UBI. Finland, for instance, conducted a 2-year trial where unemployed citizens received a monthly sum without any obligation to find a job. The results were promising, with increased well-being and lower stress levels reported among participants. However, the true benefits of UBI go beyond that. The true power of UBI lies in its potential to catalyze innovation. When individuals have a financial safety net, they are more inclined to start a business, or invest in education, or pursue artistic endeavors. It becomes a potent force for creativity and entrepreneurship. But how do we go from idea to reality? Typically, it starts with pilot programs. These are small-scale experiments to test the waters, to see how UBI impacts real people in real communities. Does it help? Does it make life better? The next step is the legislative process. This is where policymakers, influenced by public opinion and advocacy, consider the feasibility and the potential impact of UBI. Often, UBI is introduced gradually. It's like building a bridge. You start with strong foundations, addressing the most pressing needs first, and then expand the program as you gain confidence in its benefits. But like any ambitious idea, UBI has its pros and cons. On the bright side, it's a powerful tool for poverty reduction. It provides a safety net for everyone, making sure no one falls through the cracks. It's like society saying, "We've got your back." UBI also offers a sense of economic security. In an unpredictable world, knowing that you can meet your basic needs regardless of your job situation provides peace of mind. That alone is a huge benefit, as 72% of Americans reported feeling stressed about money, stress that is deteriorating their mental and physical health day by day. However, there are also challenges and concerns. Some question the feasibility of UBI and if it ever could work on a large scale. After all, we are talking about changing the entire income and work system governing the last centuries. Supporters argue, however, that it can be funded through a mix of smart financial strategies. First, we can make our social welfare programs more efficient by eliminating hundreds of programs, leading to significant savings in administrative and overhead costs that can instead go into funding UBI. Next would be a revision of our current tax system, making sure this time that the affluent really pay their fair share to ensure that everyone can meet their basic needs. In addition, we could tax non-essential items such as luxury goods at a higher rate. It's a reimagining of societal priorities, a shift towards a more equitable distribution of resources. Here's the interesting part. UBI might not cost as much as it seems because it can actually boost our economy. When people have more money to spend, it creates more jobs and reduces the costs related to poverty. So, it's not just spending money, it's like making an investment in a fairer and more prosperous future for all. Another concern is the impact on work incentives. Will people still be motivated to seek employment if they receive a basic income? To be perfectly clear, universal basic income is not meant to provide a life of luxury, ergo the word basic. It is meant to provide for essentials. However, most people have desires that go beyond just food on the table and a roof over their head, and working will provide a means to afford those things. It is also important to mention that universal basic income might be humanity's only option to maintain social order, as automation and artificial intelligence will most likely eliminate an ever larger number of jobs in the future. As strange and unrealistic as the idea of UBI might be, let's not forget that a 5-day workweek was just a dream at one point. During the early days of the Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries, factory workers often faced long and grueling work weeks. In many cases, they worked 6 days a week, sometimes for 12 hours or more per day. As time passed, society reduced the work week to 40 hours or 5 days, all without reducing productivity, and there are now talks of reducing it further to 4 days a week, or even less. Grand ideas seem big till they get executed and become part of a new reality, so while the idea of a universal basic income might sound outlandish now, it could be commonplace down the line. But let's go further. Let's really stretch our imagination here for a second. If UBI is successful in its implementation, it might create an opening to further expand on the idea. As robotics, automation and artificial intelligence replace human labor altogether, and yes, we know that does sound dystopian at first, but there might still be a silver lining in all of this. Hear us out for a moment. This is the vision of a post-scarcity world. A world where production will only depend on raw materials as the cost of labor will disappear altogether. An automated society might be able to usher humanity into a future where money itself might not play a role anymore. The cost of goods will be basically the raw materials used to make them. And if you wonder how such a world would look like, one of the most beloved science fiction franchises in the world depicts such a time. Star Trek depicts a time when money has been eliminated as a desire, and who better to explain this than Captain Picard himself?
That's what all this is about. A lot has changed in the past 300 years. People are no longer obsessed with the accumulation of things. We've eliminated hunger, want, the need for possessions. We've grown out of our infancy.
How will I live?
This is the 24th century. Material needs no longer exist.
Then what's the challenge?
The challenge, Mr. Offenhouse, is to improve yourself, to enrich yourself. Enjoy it.
Back to present day, universal basic income holds the promise of addressing everyday economic challenges that exist in our society today. Ultimately, the decision to adopt UBI requires a careful evaluation of its benefits and drawbacks, as well as a thorough consideration of the economic and social context in which it would be implemented. Whether UBI becomes a reality in the future will depend on the willingness of governments and societies to embrace this transformative policy. Perhaps we should start by asking ourselves what kind of world we would like our children to live in and how we can create a system today that enables humanity to reach its full potential in the future. Thanks for joining us as we looked at universal basic income, and we would love to hear your opinion. So today we ask you, what would you do if you would be offered UBI tomorrow? Please let us know in the comments section. If you found today's episode thought-provoking, you can enjoy more of our content by subscribing, liking, and sharing our video. Your support will help us bring you more interesting videos in the future. We thank you, and as always, stay curious.